Here's the thing nobody talks about. The people you're waiting to hear from right now probably haven't thought about you since they last saw you. Stay with me. Because once you understand what's actually happening inside your own mind, everything changes. You've felt it before. You send a long, honest message, something real, something vulnerable, and they reply with okay or nothing at all. Just silence, and something in you sinks, not because you're weak, but because your brain was expecting a reward and got nothing. Psychologists call this a social validation loop. Your mind is constantly scanning for signs that you matter to the people around you. It's a survival instinct. Deeply wired, ancient. You were never supposed to be alone. So your brain treats rejection, even the small kind, like a threat. But here's where it gets interesting. The people you're worried about? They're running the exact same program. They're scanning too, waiting too, performing too. Everyone is desperately juggling in a circus where nobody's watching the other acts. Think about that for a second. You spent real energy this week worrying what someone thought of you. Maybe you replayed a conversation. Maybe you didn't post something because it felt too risky. Maybe you stayed quiet when you wanted to speak. And that person didn't think about it once. Not because you don't matter, but because the human brain is almost exclusively focused on itself. Research in social psychology consistently shows that we dramatically overestimate how much other people notice us. It's called the spotlight effect. You feel like you're standing in a beam of light, when in reality, most people are barely glancing your direction. And this is where something shifts. Because when you really let that land, the fear starts to dissolve. That embarrassing moment you've replayed 100 times, they forgot it the same day. That opinion you're afraid to share, they're too consumed by their own anxiety to judge yours. That version of yourself you've been hiding, nobody is policing it as closely as you think. Here's what most people don't realize. The prison you're living in wasn't built by other people. It was built by your imagination of what other people think. And you've been serving a sentence for a crime nobody actually noticed. Psychologists have a name for this too. It's called self-conscious emotion. The shame, the embarrassment, the constant self-monitoring. It evolved to help humans stay connected to their tribe. But in modern life, it misfires constantly. It keeps you small. It keeps you performing. It keeps you waiting for permission that was never required. So what happens when you finally stop waiting? Something quiet happens first. The noise gets softer. You wake up and instead of immediately checking who responded to you, you ask yourself what you actually want today. Small shift, enormous difference. Then the decisions get faster. When you stop running every choice through an imaginary audience, you just move. You try the thing. You say the truth. You start the project. Not because you stopped caring about people, but because you stopped letting the fear of their judgment overrule your own judgment. Research suggests that people with a strong internal locus of control report higher life satisfaction, lower anxiety, and stronger resilience. Not because life gets easier, but because they stop fighting themselves. And here's the part that stings a little. You've been working so hard to maintain a version of yourself that other people barely register. The reliable one. The agreeable one. The one who never makes it awkward. And that performance has cost you real time, real energy, real pieces of who you actually are underneath all that management. The real you has opinions that might make people uncomfortable, goals that don't fit neatly into what your family expected, a version of success that looks nothing like the template you were handed. And every time you suppress that, you pay the price internally. Not them, you. But here's what nobody tells you about loneliness. That deep ache you feel sometimes. The sense that nobody really sees you. That's not proof that something is wrong with you. That's what happens when you've been showing people a curated version of yourself for so long that the real version hasn't had a chance to be seen yet. You're not invisible. You're just masked. And the mask is exhausting. So what do you do with all of this? You don't become cold. You don't stop caring about people. That's not the point. The point is, you stop outsourcing your life to their opinions. You stop living in the gap between who you are and who you think they want you to be. You start small. You share the real opinion. You make the decision without asking 10 people what they think. You let yourself be a little weird, a little honest, a little unpolished. And you notice, nothing bad happens, usually, because the audience you were so afraid of was never really watching. And once you feel that, genuinely feel it, something opens up. You get your energy back, you stop shrinking. You start building things that actually mean something to you. Not for the applause, not for the validation. For the quiet satisfaction of living a life that's actually yours. That's not loneliness, that's freedom. It just feels unfamiliar at first because you've never lived there before. The question isn't whether people are thinking about you, they're not. Not the way you think. The question is, now that you know that, what are you finally going to do?